soon we're going to move to our backend so that we can set up our own backend. Then we can start saving the user in our server, in our database, and so on. But before we do that, let's do one more thing here, and that is a forgot password. So for example, if user they log in with email and password, but next time they want to log in, they forgot the password. So in that case, we should give them the option to retrieve a new enter a new password so that they can log in again, right? So for that, obviously you must have experienced that thing yourself in other websites. So you need to give some kind of link so user can go and enter the email address. So when they enter the email address, they will receive a link in their email, and then when they click on that email, they will land on a page where they can enter the new password, and that way they can reset the password. So basically they can log in with the new password, right? So the way it's going to work is they will enter the email. So based on the email, if we have that user in our database with that email, then we will send them the email link. So if they have access to their email address, then they can go to the email, check the email, click the link, reset the password, and they're done. All right, and it's a lot easier because we're using Firebase, so Firebase will handle a lot of this work. So it's going to be not very difficult. It's going to be quite easy as well. So let's do that. So what we're going to do is, first we're going to add a link on the login page. So we're going to show something like a forgot password. So let's go to login. Let's come all the way down right below this button. Let's create a link where users can click. So let's make sure we have the link component from React Router DOM. Let's import that. Import link from React Router DOM, and then we come all the way down under this button. Let's create this link. So it's going to take, let's create a page, and we put that in a path forgot / password. All right, and we give it a class name. We want to float this to the right, so we can use float right, and we want to give it a red color, so we can use text danger class name, and here we can say forgot password. All right, so that looks perfect. So once user click on this, we need to take them to /forgot /password. So if we click forgot password, so this page we need to create. Okay, so let's do that. So let's put that inside this auth folder. Let's create a new file, forgot password.js. So just like any other page, we need a couple of imports. Maybe we can copy from login just to make things easier, speed up things. So let's copy the imports. Let's go to forgot password. Let's paste here. So we need React, you need use state, we need the auth from Firebase, we don't need Google, so let's get rid of that. We can use Toast, and we can get rid of these ones, get rid of that one. So from Redux store, we want to actually access the user, use selector. The reason I want to use this is because if user is logged in, then I don't want to show them this page, right? So if we have the logged in user and they try to go to this page, I want to redirect them away, because if user is already logged in, they shouldn't be landing on this page, right? And we can do the same in login as well. So if user is already logged in, if they manually type in the URL something like this, they shouldn't be able to see this page. We should redirect them away because they are already logged in. Okay, so we're going to do that, and for that we need to access the user from the state. So based on that, if we have the user, then we can redirect them away. So that's what I will be using this for later. and let's make sure to bring the use effect as well. We will be using that too. Right, now let's create our component. Const forgot password equals to. So here I will be accessing the history props from React Router DOM. I will be using this to redirect the user. All right, so here to if user forgot the password, first thing we will ask them is enter the email address. Right, so let me actually export default forgot password. All right, so in the state we're going to have email, set email from use as state, and by default it will have no value. Let's also create another one called loading. We can show loading while the API request is being made. For those few milliseconds we can show loading. Use state, and it's going to be false by default. So here we want to show a form so that the user can enter the email address. So we want to return, let's return a div, give it a class name of container, and I want to center it in the middle of the page, so I can use column medium 6 and offset on the both sides. So offset medium 3, and maybe a bit of a padding all around as well. It's padding 5. So here I want to show a form to get user email. I'll come back to this one. Let's use this. Let's import this in app.js so that we can actually have a look at this page. So forgot password, let's go to app, let's import forgot password form. So we need to go inside pages, auth, forgot password. So let's come down, let's copy this. So the path is going to be password forgot password. What did we name earlier? Forgot password. Okay, forgot password. All right, now we should be able to see that page. Okay, so I've got typo there, const. Let me fix that. Const. Okay, so we got the page here. So let's continue working on this one. Let's show a input field so that the user can enter the email address. So here first we can show a title h4. We can say forgot password, or we can even conditionally show the title or loading. So if the loading state is true, we can show loading, otherwise we can show the heading. Alright, so let's use that ternary operator, loading. If that is true, then we're going to change this to loading. Otherwise we want to show this title. Right, so loading, I can even give it a class name, text danger, so that it looks red. Okay, so if we have loading, we show the loading, otherwise we show the heading. Right, so once we do that, we can show a form with the input field. So form on submit, we need to make request to Firebase so that Firebase can send the user an email, and on that email there will be a link. When they click on that link, they will be landing on a page where they can enter the new password. For that we need a function, so let's use that, create that function, handle submit. We will come back to it. let me just write it down here. Const handle submit. So it's event handler, event prevent default, so the page doesn't reload, and we'll come back to it later. All right, so that's our form. So inside form, I'm going to show input field. So the type is going to be email. Class name, we can give a class name form control. We can give it a value. That's whatever we have in the state, that's email. And for that to work, we need onChange handler. So when the user types something in, we grab the event and we set email in the state, and that's going to be event.target.value. Okay, we got that email, perfect. Next, we want to show the placeholder as well. Let's write type your email, and we want it to be autofocus. So when they land on this page, the input field will be active, autofocused by itself. Right? That looks good. Now let's add a line break, and then let's create a button with class name of button raised. Because we're using Bootstrap material, we can use this class name button raised. That will give nice material looking button. Disabled, we want to disable the button if user haven't entered the email. So if no email, it will be disabled. Okay, so in no email, if that is true, it will be disabled, otherwise they can click. Okay, so we got that form with the input field and a button. Let's have a look. Okay, so that looks good. You can see it is disabled at the moment. That's perfect. Now we need to work on this handler, this button, this handle submit. Right. So what we're going to do here is we're going to first set the loading to true. So when they submit, we will show the loading until we get the response. Right. So we can use Firebase auth method we have here. So let's make this function async, and we await auth dot. We get to use this function called send password reset email. So we can use that method to send an email to the user. All right. So auth dot send password reset email. Make sure you have no typos there. So to send this email, just like previously, if you remember, on register page also, let me quickly go there. On register page also, we used a similar function here. We had this config where we had to give the URL, okay, and then we had to pass this handle code in app. So we had to give this config to send the email link. You can see that we send email as first argument and give the config as second argument to this function. So we're going to do something similar. So we can even grab this code, this config, which is basically going to send the URL and the this handle code in app true. Okay, so let's grab that, go to forgot password, and here we're going to give email as first argument and then config as second argument to this function. So let's paste that here. Now the URL is going to be, so this is going to be the redirect URL. So when the user click on the email link, they will see a pop-up window. They will be landing on a page, and they will be able to enter the new password. Once they enter the new password, Firebase will redirect the user back to your application. So where do you want to redirect the user? So maybe to the login page, right? So once they have the new password, they would like to log in. So we can use the login page as a redirect URL. So React app let's change this from register redirect to password redirect. Forgot password redirect. Let's write that. Forgot password redirect. Okay. So we're going to add this variable in the env React app forgot password redirect. Alright, now that's going to be, this is going to be exactly like that. Localhost 3000 / login this time. Alright, now once you make any change to the env, make sure to restart your server. Stop and restart your server. Alright, so that's good. Now let's close this. So we have the redirect URL, which is login page, and handle coding app true. So this is the config we need to give to this function. So email as well as this config. So once we do that, we can get the promise as response. So we can use then, which is a function. We can use arrow function. Now if there was any issue, we can use catch to catch the error. Arrow function. Okay, so we can catch error. We can show the error message as well. So at this moment, if we have any errors, we want to set loading to false. Whether we get success or error, we have to stop the loading because we already got the response. So loading false, and toast dot error, we can show the error message. You can also console log the error if you're curious. Sometimes you might get the response, but that response might not have the property message. So it's always good to console log if you have any issues, right? But I'm pretty sure we get the error message. I have tried it. Okay, you can also console log error message in forgot password error. Okay, so if we got any error, we show the error message. If not, that's great. We have been able to send user the email link. Now at this point, we can remove the user's existing email if they have typed something in. We want to clear that out. For that, we can use set email back to empty, nothing, empty string, set loading false, and we can show the toast messages, success message. So just like error, let's copy that, paste here instead of error, success. So when you use error, you get the red color box, and when you use success, it's going to look green, right? So toast success, that's going to be, you can actually hard code the message here because we don't actually get anything useful from Firebase. So we can say check your email for password reset link, something like that. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So we have the form with the input field. User can type in the email, and when they hit submit, we will send them the email link. So Firebase will do this, all this, so we don't have to do much. So we can give this a try. All right, so let's type something that doesn't exist. Let's see what we get. You can see there is no user record corresponding to this identifier. Perfect, that's perfect, right? Now let's try GraphQL React node. We know this user exists. This is a valid user. So let's try. You can see check your email for password reset link. So that's perfect. Let's have a look. Let's go. Let me log into my Gmail. And you can see we got a reset password email from Firebase. Perfect. So you can see, follow this link to reset your password for this account. So if you click, you can see you're landing on this page. Here you can enter the new password. For example, let me type 1 2 3 4 5 6, a new password, or maybe just GGGGG. All right. Okay. So you can see password has been changed. You can now sign in with your new password. So when you click continue, it will redirect you to this URL. So whatever we used, that's where the user will be landing. And this is login. That's what we did here in the env file. Okay, so let's try continue. You can see we're landed on the login page. Now user can log in. With the previous 1 2 3 4 5 6, it shouldn't work because we changed it. You can see that. Now if I type just GG, that is my new password and I can log in. How good is that? Perfect. Now that's great. But there's one more thing we have to fix, and we can do that in the next lecture. That is, user is already logged in at the moment, right? So at this point, if user manually type into the login, they can still go to login page, which shouldn't be happening. We should be redirecting user because he's already logged in. Same with forgot password. They can still access this page, which is not right, because if they're logged in, they shouldn't be able to land in this page. So let's work on that redirect in the next lecture.